Hello guys, welcome to YouTube channel Game Dev Wannabe. Today we are talking about variables. So variables are pretty important in C# scripting, so pay attention to this and try to remember everything. So what are variables? Variables represent defining memory space that contains some data. What does it mean? Like imagine some container when you can put things and use it when you need it. Just you have to define a different container for different type of things. Okay, let's talk about what variable data types exist. I'm gonna put this link in description of the video. It is Microsoft Docs, and here you can see a lot of different data types like byte, integer, short, long, float, double, character, boolean, string, decimal, etc. But we are gonna use only 4 or 5 of them often, so we will focus on them. Every type of variable has its own width, so how many bits can it hold of information. So what memory space can reserve. So for example, byte is 8 bits, integer is 32 bits, and etc. So let's go back to Visual Studio to talk more about this variables and data types. So the first variable will be integer. We will call it a, and it can be, for example, number 10. What does this mean? Integer is a variable that contains whole numbers, so number 10 can be integer. So second variable can be, for example, character. We'll call it, for example, letter, and we will put here letter M, for example. And pay attention, this quotation marks are single quotations, so it is different than we were using in Hello World application when we were defining string data type. So next one we'll call string, we will call it text, and it is equal to, for example, did you subscribe to my channel? No, really, go subscribe if you find this useful. So that is the next data type. It is string and it can hold text. So I suppose everything is clear here. Next one is boolean. Boolean, we will call it did you sub, and it can be equal to true or false. So we will say that you are subscribed and we'll call it true. So boolean has two states, true or false. And the last one that we are gonna use is float. And float is for a decimal numbers. So let's say we call this P equal to 3.14 F. Okay, pay attention again. We did write 3.14, but when float is data type, we have to tell the Visual Studio that it is a float, and we have to put the letter F after the number. So these are 5 most used data types in C# and game development, so be sure to remember all of this. Let's do some examples. For example, let's define integer x equals 10, and let's define integer epsilon equals x plus, okay, where is plus 15, for example. And now let's do a little application, console application. Let's write console dot, oh no, comparison, sorry, console dot write line open and close bracket epsilon console dot read line open and close bracket semicolon. And let's try to execute this application. So we defined integer x, we defined integer epsilon like x plus 15, and we want console to write the result, so x plus 15, and console read line to hold it so we can read. So let's try to execute this application and see what will happen. So building our game dev course 2 application. So what we have here, we have console print down 25, so x is 10 plus 15, it's 25. So that's it, and let us terminate this application, and we will comment out these lines of code for now, like this to this point, and let's write another one using strings. So let's write like this: console dot write line and between brackets we will write your name. Between quotation marks, that's right. And now we will define some string called name. It will be equal to console dot read line. And what does this do? It will hold the application and wait for our keyboard input. So when we press enter, it will continue to execute later. So now let's copy this line. Sorry, let's copy this line here and just change this to your last name. And here string last name equal to console dot read line open close bracket semicolon. And now we have just this left. So console dot write line open close bracket quotations welcome plus plus closed quotations plus name plus one space between plus last name semicolon. Console dot read line to hold, open close bracket and semicolon, semicolon. So let's execute this application and see what will happen. Okay, so now the console executes write line your name, it prints it. Then we have console read line with which waits to make some input from the keyboard, and let's write down, for example, LeBron for all of you basketball fans as me. And when I press enter key on the keyboard, the code will execute further down. Enter your last name, James. Enter welcome LeBron James. That is what we define here. Console write line welcome plus name plus space plus last name, and console read line to hold. So that is a little application with string data type variable. So let's say this is it for this lesson, and be sure to check all data types that we learned today. This is the basis of C# scripting, and it is really important to understand. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next lesson. If you find these lessons helpful, please subscribe and click the like button. See you in the next video.